The Daily Jaws 50th Anniversary interview series is a collection of amazing conversations exploring the legacy of Steven Spielberg's screen adaptation of Jaws through the eyes of the fans. We'll be talking to famous fans, shark experts, people whose lives have been changed by the movie, and those that were there that helped to make the film. Today's episode has been made possible by Stern Pinball, the world's largest designer and manufacturer of arcade-quality pinball games. But we'll be telling you more about them later. We'll also be telling you about two amazing organisations that are very close to our hearts. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
I still get different things out of it every time I watch it. And I think everyone that loves the film, really loves the film, like knows the film, also loves sharks. And my granddad picked up his walking stick and went, "Don't you worry, I'm not having that from this shark."
Hey guys, it's Ross over at the Daily Jaws with another exclusive 50th anniversary interview. Today's guest is one of Britain's best-loved presenters. He can normally be seen on the couch on ITV's This Morning or presenting his Saturday morning breakfast show on BBC Radio 2. However, the only thing he's going to be presenting today is his love for Jaws. Guys, it gives me a huge amount of pleasure to welcome the one and only Mr. Dermot O'Leary to the Daily Jaws. Dermot, welcome.
Ross,
Dermot,
what a lovely intro. Thank you. God, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm such a fan of the Daily Jaws.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's wonderful to have you here. As I said before, we sort of press record and all that. That it's wonderful to see your name pop up in the likes and the comments. And because when it first happened, I was like, surely that's a mistake. And then it just kept coming in.
It's so weird, the people that find your content, isn't it? I mean, I started doing this really silly dad dance at Radio 2 on Saturday mornings. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, I said to my producer, "Can I just jack that on the head now? Can we knock it on the head? Because it was just a bit of silliness." And he went, "No, you don't understand. It's like quite a lot of people like it on Instagram now, and social teams are happy, and Radio 2 management love it." And I was like, "Oh, God," because some mornings you just don't want to do it. And then like Hannah Waddingham started just going, "The great dance this week." And I'm like, "Hang on, what?" And obviously, you know, through my job, I get to meet a lot of people, but it's still, but the idea that they're watching you do something, or listening or appreciating your content is still so weirdly alien, isn't it?
It is. It's really odd. I mean, when I first started it, I started it on the 40th anniversary, and I didn't really have any grand ambitions. I was just thinking, let's just try and celebrate the 40th anniversary of the movie.
Just as an Instagram account. That was the way it started, right?
That's how it all started. And then people were like, after a few weeks, it's like, well, you've got to keep going. You can't stop. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just keep going. And 10 years later,
it's also when you find the tribe. And I always tried as a kid. I never tried to define my friends by what they liked and what they didn't like. So I never liked the idea of just being in one tribe. I always liked the idea of my friends being kind of layered and so forth. But there is something so special about when you find someone that appreciates an artist, or like a musical artist, or a film, or a sports tale. It's just something, you know, it's that breadth of kind of passion, really. It's not even knowledge for me. It's like, obviously you want to, you know, when someone puts something on your comments, and it'll really just do a quote from the movie and it'll really make me laugh, and it'll be really in context and really on point. But you know, it's more than that. It's just that it's the passion, isn't it? When you genuinely love something. Because I don't know what your first question is going to be, but Jaws for me is up there. Well, it's my favorite film of all time. But in terms of how sort of formative for me, it was that and the John Carpenter movies, the movies that I watched when I was a kid, that just blew my mind. You know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it though with social media is it's the social aspect, it's the connection where people, as you say, find their tribe, and for me it's such the thing about Jaws is you've got kind of two distinct camps where you've got the film lovers and the shark lovers, and obviously those they cross over quite a lot with Jaws. So the amount of people that I get in the DMs or that I've spoken to as part of this series, it's amazing. I honestly can't think of many other movies that, one, we'd still be sort of talking about 50 years later, but second, that attract such a wide-ranging, diverse group of people, all loving the same thing.
And I think it's because the movie does so many different things. So it's I don't want to sound pompous, but my relationship with it has changed through the years as well. And how I appreciate it now as a sort of a man in middle age is so different to what I loved about it when I was a kid, and probably what I loved about it when I was in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah, that echoes so many of what the other guests have said. And I think as well, a lot of it depends on kind of when you see Jaws. Were you younger when you saw it? Were you older? What were you going through in your life at the time? Because Jaws speaks to you on so many different levels. But let's start at the beginning. When did you first see the movie, and what do you remember about that
I can
experience?
remember actually what I remember so distinctly was my Auntie Geraldine used to be married to a lovely guy, my Uncle Michelle, who was French. And
Mm,
they were restaurateurs. They had a little French restaurant in Croydon. And when you're brought up over, like I'm sort of, all my family are Irish, so the family we had over here, you could sort of count on one hand. So
mm,
it was either whenever we went up to London, it would either be my Auntie Angela in North London. It was a very Irish North London experience, or it would be in this French restaurant in Croydon called Le Saint Jacques. It was called Jodie's, and then another one called Le Saint Jacques. When they had Jodie's, Mum and Dad used to weirdly, every now and again, Mum and Dad would just help serve downstairs. So we'd be
mm,
upstairs, me, my sister, and my Nicola and my cousin John Paul. So we'd be upstairs and we just had the telly on. I remember it was one, I don't know if it was Christmas, but it was one Christmas we were there and my mum and dad were serving in the restaurant downstairs and like helping the service. And
mm.
we were upstairs with my granddad, Moses. And Moses is kind of I always remember he was quite an austere guy, like fiercely Irish, like, would always begrudgingly come over here to see his kids. But I was like, he was quite austere, but at the same time, I always quite liked him. He was always very kind and loving.
Mm,
And I remember it was basically my first ever memory is, so I must have been early 80s, I suppose. So it might have been George's first time on TV.
hmm.
Maybe not. I can't remember.
That's probably
But
sounds about right.
yeah, but it was Ben Gardner's boat. So it was the Ben Gardner's boat scene. So it was Dreyfus going down
Mm,
and Hooper going down and the head popping out. And obviously, when you're that age and you see that, especially now, like in the context of time or when it was, uh, it's so terrifying and mesmeric and just deliciously scary. You're so scared, and
yeah.
and we were like out of our seats, the three of us. And my granddad picked up his walking stick and went, "Don't you worry, I'm not having that from this shot," and started bashing the top of the telly just to try and make us feel a bit better. And it was that moment, and it just stayed in my brain because I was like, "Oh, my granddad's such a great guy because he's hitting the shark, even though he's hitting the telly," and
Yeah.
also like I could smell blood, as in I was like, I need more of this. This is for me. This is just like the most incredible like moment in up to then I've probably seen Jungle Book and Aristocats
Mm,
and The Rescuers, and so and anything else that might have been on telly and like or early VHS, like a lot of
yeah.
music. And then, so this is the first kind of wow moment, and that's where sort of that kind of that love affair started. Really, it was that and the Star Wars trilogy.
Honestly, what you said there echoes pretty much my experience because I watched it on TV a few years after you. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I remember watching it on TV, and it was such an immersive experience and totally different to any other movies I'd watched until that point. Because like you, I'd watched things like Star Wars: A New Hope. I didn't actually realize there were other movies in the Star Wars trilogy until that point. I was literally just watching that on repeat. Superman the movie and The Wizard of Oz. You
Yeah,
know, these big, bright, colorful, fantastical, child sort of driven movies, and then Jaws. And
yeah,
I'm like, but I am absolutely immersed in this movie. This is just like an incredible thing that I'm watching. And as soon as I watched it, I have to watch it again. And I was just fascinated
absolutely.
by the shark. And like you, I've kind of grown. I mean, how has your relationship with the movie changed over the years since you've seen it?
So as a kid, it's just all about excitement and the adrenaline rush and probably the greatest blockbuster of its time. And then I got to my 20s and it was the kind of you come in from the pub and watch it and just appreciate it for this sort of brilliant ride it was really.
Mm,
And then and I've always been I'm a water baby, so I've always been either sort of around water. So I live in London, but
mm,
my wife's family, her dad's from Norway,
mm,
water. Her mum lives in Broadstairs. She was brought up between Norway and Broadstairs. So we spent a lot of time there for the last 25 years, both of
mm,
whom are just like you're always on the water. My folks in Ireland are from the water. Uh, we got a place in Italy, so we spent a lot of time in Italy by the water. So
Mm.
and where I grew up in Colchester was right next to the, you're about 5, 6 miles from the sea. So every weekend when the weather was good, we were at the beach. So it's just been always been around the sea. So I've always
Yeah.
been fishing. When I got a bit older, surfing. When I got older, diving, out on boats. So the sea's always been sort of second nature to me. So there's something like wonderfully, like you can taste yours when you watch it. You taste that. Like I've never been to that part of America, and it's absolutely on my list to go because you can just the way the movie conveys that community as well. That kind of like it's only an island. We're looking at it from the water. Kind of that kind of sense of community. That is what I love about the movie. And so it's like my relationship with it's evolved. So when I'm really into the sea, it was just I love sharks. I've dived with sharks
Mm.
um and they're just such beautiful, magnificent creatures. And I think
Yeah.
everyone that loves the film really loves the film, like knows the film, also loves sharks. Like everyone knows what the film sadly is responsible for by accident, really. But it's a terrible legacy, really, in many ways.
Mm.
And but no one that truly appreciates the film is really truly. I mean, we're all scared of sharks to a point, but not in that kind of like I'm not going in the English Channel because I think I might get eaten by a shark, which you still hear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is an unbelievable legacy when you think about it. And then as I've got older, it's the relationship between the three, and it's the class struggle, and it's about being a father, and it's about
Mm.
being and I genuinely think Chief Brody for me is up there with Atticus Finch is probably the greatest hero in fiction for me because
Mm.
he's just a good guy having several bad days, trying to do the right thing, incredibly brave,
Mm.
flawed, um, um, and just fighting against this kind of like like petty bourgeois local, pretty Napoleon-esque, kind of red tape and curtain twitchers. And he's just, he's doing his very best every day he can, and sometimes he comes up short and he's like we all do. And I think so. He genuinely is our Mr. Smith. He's our everyman. And that's
Mm.
what I love him. And but I love all the characters. I love Quint's, trauma and the stuff. I mean, the Indianapolis is just the standout like monologue, obviously in the film, but it's one of the standout monologues in cinematic history, and he's
Yeah.
so good. I love the history. I love the making of the film. I love The Shark is Broken. The play was just, I don't know if you met
Oh,
the play, but how great is
yeah.
that?
It's
Uh,
amazing.
and I love Hooper because Hooper, and I'm glad they adapted Hooper in the film the way they did rather than how it was in the book. I'm glad they didn't have an
Mm.
affair. I'm glad that he was
Yeah.
who he was because for me it's sort of unnecessary, and the relationship between Brody and Hooper I think far more. It was far richer because of that.
Mm.
And you got Hooper who can't help the wealth he's born into and genuinely is there for the right reasons and
Mm.
uh like you said about, when I leave tomorrow, you're the only smart man on the island. Right? I mean, he's and the tension, the relationship between Hooper and Quinn is just marvelous because there is this kind of underlying respect there from both sides,
Yeah.
grudgingly on Quinn's part, but they can't bring themselves to say it, and then which is why the drinking scene is so good.
Oh, the drinking scene.
And then,
But
and then for me, my favorite scene now as a dad, and I sort of replay it to my poor son, who's unwitting about the whole thing, is the mirrored scene, in the dinner after when he's a little bit pissed and his little kid's there without the teeth, and he just says, and I've said this to my son, I say this regularly to my son, give us a kiss. Why? Because I need it. And then as soon as he kissed me, I say, get out of here. And it's just that marvelous, great, and that's my favorite moment of the whole film.
that was actually the question I was going to ask you because you and I share the same answer to that question. My favorite moment in Jaws is that moment. It's just so precious
Is it yours as
and
well?
organic. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it
It's
kills
just,
me every time.
absolutely. And it's like we've all been there. I mean, I don't even have kids, but I'm just like,
Yeah,
when you just come home and you just had one of those days
yeah,
and you just need a hug or just something. And
yeah.
it happens to be his son at the moment. And from what we understand about that moment in terms of construction, that wasn't actually scripted. It was
Right.
Roy Scheider at the table practicing his lines, going through his mannerisms, and the young actor Jay Mello, who was playing Sean, started to copy Roy.
No, I
Roy then
didn't
spoke
know
to
that. That's such a great
yeah,
story.
and Roy spoke to Stephen and said, "We need to play with this, and let's see what we could do." And that's how it ended up in the movie. One second.
I love that kind of it's not because what I love about it is it's so every family in that it's not too mawkish or mawkish isn't the right word. It's not too sickly. So the fact that as soon as he kisses him and the door goes, you're like, right,
Oh,
off you go, you know? And
yeah.
that's the beauty of it for me. It's the fact that it ends like that.
It is. Again, it's just one of those human moments, and everyone thinks Jaws is a movie about a shark, and it's so much more. I'm just having a slight technical thing, Dermot. Bear with me just one second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I see the problem. There we go.
Dermot, oh my God, I love that you love this movie. It makes me happy. Look at you. It makes me happy.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to surprise you.
I'm surprised.
This is the best reaction ever. This is great.
It's so nice to meet you.
What a pleasure.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
You look wonderful. I love your roof.
Hey, I'm still alive. Somebody said, a woman asked me recently, she goes, Jaws is going to be 50 years old. My God, how old were you when you made it? And I said, oh my God, no, I got to be honest about my age. Okay, I was 9. She didn't believe me. And I wear this because a cop pulled me over in California a few years ago, and he says, you went through that stop sign. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't go over very far. He says, why are you wearing that hat? I said, I play the deputy in Jaws. And he goes, oh, I love that movie. Don't do it again. So I wear it now like it's going to protect me forever. Unbelievable.
Oh, wow. So nice to meet you. Wow. Oh, Ross, what are you doing to me?
Hey, I'm a fan of yours. And I know you also have a 3-year-old son. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter in Clapham.
In Clapham?
My youngest son married Bomber Harris's great-great-granddaughter. It's unbelievable. And my middle son, because 2 of my 3 sons and I have Tourette syndrome. My middle son is a shrink at St. George's in specializing in pediatric neurological disorders.
Jeffrey, wow.
Very cool, huh?
That's incredible. So you get over here much?
Yeah, I come over a lot.
Oh, that's so nice.
And they come over and they come see me. It's very cool.
Jeffrey, did you ever live in the northeast of America? Like,
that's where I'm from. Yeah.
How many of the because I interviewed a guy on my radio show ages ago, lovely guy, a musician called Willie Nelson.
Oh yeah, the
Mason, rather. Sorry, not Willie Nelson, Willie Mason, and Willie Mason, I think, is from that way. And he said that he had. We were talking. He's a big Jaws fan. We were talking about it, and he said the guy that plays the extra at the very start, that goes swimming, and
Jonathan Philly, yeah.
Oh, Jonathan Philly, yeah.
Right. He said I was like, he lived on my couch for a while. He was like, because he was from Martin.
Yeah, for sure. And then he became a producer. He produced Woody Allen's movies. He was a line producer, and he did a lot of stuff. Wow. Oh, it's unbelievable. How old were you when you saw this, Dermot?
I reckon I was about 7 or 8. And
see, that's okay. People come in with 3 and 4-year-olds. I said, oh, they haven't seen it. They go, oh, no, they've seen it many times. I said, I should call social services on you. That's terrible.
Dermot, tell Jeffrey about your granddad.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey. When I watched it, so it was the Ben Gardner moment where with the boat.
With head comes out, yeah.
And I was really young, and my granddad was over from Ireland, and we were watching it in the top floor of the flat where my uncle and auntie lived, and they had a restaurant underneath. So it's just me and my sister and my little baby cousin. We were watching it at the time, and my granddad was the only adult with us. And the head pops out, and we are literally through the roof.
Whoa!
Scariest thing we've ever seen. And he picks up his walking stick and starts.
No, that's so great.
The top of the TV, just to make us feel better. Don't you worry about the kids.
I've got a great story. I get it.
Let me ask you this: did you prefer 1 or 2, given that your part was obviously a lot bigger in two, and you're far more of a main character. But obviously, one is the classic. So, what did you prefer to do?
Well, number one was so much fun, but I show up the first day. It's when I find the hand. I was so nervous I could have really thrown up on the beach. And all of a sudden you show up, we're babies,
Yeah.
Dreyfus, we're all babies. And I have my own little honey wagon in there. It was unbelievable. It was so much fun. In Jaws 2, I showed up and there was another director there. And he cut my part in two, gave all the good lines to a heavy set character actor who was his friend. And I said, this isn't what I signed up for. And I left.
Yeah.
And he got fired. They wrote off 6 months of pre-production, fired John Hancock, brought Jano Swarkin, who we just lost and I just love. I got married at his house. He was the greatest. And Joe Alf said, we love the guy who was the original, bring him back. And they brought me back.
Oh,
but
great.
The joke always was, if any of us went to prison, you got 6 months off of any jail term just for doing Jaws 2 in Pensacola. It was so long, 9 months on location. Marriages of 20 years, crew marriages were breaking up. It was unbelievable.
Wow. And what was that Spielberg energy like in the first film? Like, was it just incredible? Like, was he, because he was so young?
We were all babies, but he was just such a good guy. When I met him, the first and only time in my life I ever left a meeting and I said, I'm going to get this. I just knew it somehow, but there was nothing to read from. We just sat and talked. And then years later, I was David E. Kelly's partner, and 1 year we won Best Comedy, Best Drama at the Emmys for Ally McBeal in The Practice. Yeah. And David once said to me, he said, Jeffrey, listen, I just got an award at the Writers Guild. Can you pick it up? And Spielberg's presenting. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. And in front of 600 people, Stephen says, oh, Jerry, I'm so proud of you. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to say? No, it's Jeffrey. It's Jeffrey. It was so funny, but a nice man. And nothing worked. It was going around that they're going to pull the plug, and everything came together. It was like a perfect creative storm. The music, the editing, Verna Fields, they called her the mother cutter. She was so kind and loving and supportive, and it all came to good. And in Jaws 2, General Swark and Roy were wrestling on the ground, choking each other. Oh yeah, boo-boo-boo. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then do you remember the first time, like the first premiere you went to where you saw the audience reaction and you were like, wow, we got it.
Oh my God. And we knew an usher who'd let us in every night right before Ben Gardner's head comes out. I mean, you literally saw soda go up in the air and popcorn. And the whole audience, you'd see the whole audience rear back. It was unbelievable.
I can imagine.
And, Stephen said, I want to have one more scare. And that was an insert shot done in Verna Field swimming pool. Did you know that? It's unbelievable. And there's so many stories. I mean, we're walking home one night. I'm walking home with Murray Hamilton, who I love, from the bar. And he goes, here, kitty, here, kitty. And boom, he gets skunked. He wouldn't go to his room. And we ended up putting him on a couch in the lobby of the hotel. By the next morning, it was almost uninhabitable. Oh, it was unbelievable.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Dermot, thank you for letting me just pop in on your
Are you kidding me?
Your thing. I wanted to surprise you. Listen,
thank you.
You are such a likable guy. I mean, you see you and the X Factor and stuff, and you're just comfortable. You put people at ease. You're just likable.
I'm just reeling from the fact you know who I am.
I love it. Oh,
this is amazing. Oh man,
I'm big time.
Thank you so much, mate. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh, what a pleasure. Thanks, Ken. And I hope I meet you again.
I hope so too. Take care, man. Bye.
Bye. Cheers, Jeffrey. Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ross. Thank you.
Well, you're very kind.
Yeah, that's why we were playing around with the timings a little bit. Because we were trying to do it at 4 p.m. originally, and then Jeffrey said, I can't make it because he's in, I think he's on Pacific Standard Time, so he's about 8 hours behind us. We said, but I can do 9 o'clock.
How old
So I
is Jeff?
messaged,
Is Jeffrey now? Do you think?
I think he's getting off about 80 now, but
Doing
he looks
well.
great.
It's
He looks
great.
great and he's sharp, really sharp.
Wow,
So
what
yeah,
a
so
big guy.
honestly, an absolute champion. And your reaction was absolutely brilliant because this is the most fun part of the interview for me is when I know Jeffrey's about to come in and just watching that reaction. And you were just like this. You were just like, for what felt like 30 minutes, I was just like,
Flashed up and he went away, and I was like, "Who? What? Hang on a minute. What?" And then he just came. I wanted to throw stones at the window. So these are your people out there. Get out
oh,
there. Talk to them.
did you know that moment was improvised? That Stephen was just like, you can kind of play around with that moment and see what happens. And that's what they did.
Because I read my books and I've seen my documentaries, but it's all you always find out more stuff about the film.
Hey guys, it's Ross. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the series. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you a little bit about some of the organisations that we've been working with that help make this episode possible. Stern Pinball, the oldest and largest designer and manufacturer in arcade quality pinball games. Here is their Jaws game.
Fire the harpoon! Shoot! Fast fish. Well, nothing's easy, is it? This shark will eat anything.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Pretty cool, huh? Well, Stern don't only make pinball machines, they've also made a generous donation to the two organisations that we're spotlighting throughout the series. Minorities in Shark Sciences, or MISS for short, a non-profit founded in 2020 that champions diversity in shark, ray and marine sciences. MISS creates equitable opportunities for historically underrepresented communities through hands-on programs and believes that diverse scientists bring diverse ideas, driving the innovation essential for ocean conservation. Representation matters, and MISS is making sure the next generation sees a place for themselves in marine biology. Learn more and support their mission at missalesmo.org. The mission of the Tourette Association of America is to provide help and hope to those affected by Tourette syndrome, tic disorders, and associated conditions through awareness, research, and support. It's the only national organisation serving the community and works to raise awareness, advance research, and provide ongoing support to patients and families impacted by Tourette syndrome and tic disorders. To this end, the Tourette Association of America directs a network of 31 chapters, 83 support groups, and recognises 18 centres of excellence across the country. It's a non-profit organisation and is extremely close to the heart of not just Jeffrey Kramer, but also his family. Guys, thanks for listening. Let's get back to the conversation. Well, I found out a story a little while ago. This was probably get on for 10 years ago, but we've mentioned it a few times on the Daily Jaws, and it's one of my all-time favourite stories, where just after they've sort of had the moment of the singing in the cabin of the boat, and then the shark comes back and it starts to ram the boat, and the wood splits. Yeah, that shot.
Yeah.
That was an insert shot, kind of done in post-production, but they realised they didn't have the budget to do it. So the story goes, I'm still trying to get this confirmed, but fairly sure we're correct. Basically, Joe Alves, the production designer, had some wood in his garage. He mocked up an inside of a hull, stuck it on his driveway, ran water down it through a hose pipe, and put a camera on the driveway with Steven Spielberg and I believe it was Kevin Pike. So you've got Steven Spielberg, arguably the greatest filmmaker that's ever lived, on a driveway in New York, filming a piece of wood being kicked to make his movie work. But on the other end of that scale, you've got the most sophisticated special effects that have probably ever been made at that time.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just shows the ingenuity of that team to make that movie work.
Yeah.
It was just incredible.
I just love that kind of whole story of him, Gottlieb and all, like just that nightly thing where they just sat down and just were, what? Hang on, where now? Okay, I mean the energy I was young, but the energy, and also just even to get that job at that age, it's just absolutely incredible.
I like this next question. This is a really good one because I think this reveals a lot of what people bring to Jaws when they watch it and also what they take from it. What do you think Jaws is about? If it's not about a shark, what do you think it's trying to tell us?
Oh, well, I don't know what the metaphor for the shark is. Um, and I don't know if you look back now, I don't think it's a Cold War analogy or anything like that. For me, it's more about the relationship between the men and a relationship between a man and his community and a family and their community. Because, Ellen plays such a huge role in this as well. And I think she's often overlooked, but she's she's such a brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, she's a brilliant actor, isn't she? But she's such a brilliant character because she's trying to hold the whole thing together and trying to become part of this town. And whilst, all the circumstances are contriving to make it harder and harder for this family to be accepted, largely because he's just, doing the right thing. So I think it's kind of about, I don't know. I guess it's about that. It's about principle. It's about, courage, it's about bravery, in the face of adversity. I don't know if I'm blindly just spouting out words now. I think it's about so many things.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean,
it's about putting your demons to bed. For all three of them.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's as much about we've got more in common than we've got than we have. There's more that unites us than divides us. So I sort of overanalyzed it to death, and I haven't really. But I think sometimes it's the movie's as much or as little as you want it to be in relation to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I remember as a kid, and then obviously as growing up, I'm realizing actually this is probably my first lesson in governance and authority. I mean, you look at how things, how Brody's treated at the beginning of the movie by the mayor and the medical examiner, and there's a cover up. Because to your point, Brody's character arc is one of the best in cinema because at the beginning of the movie, he knows what to do. He knows what the right thing is to do. He's not a bad guy, but he's pressured and put in a position where he feels he has to make the wrong choice, and it's about redeeming that moment. So it's such it's not about a shark is basically I think what we're trying to say, right, Dermot? That's it.
Definitely
Absolutely.
And that character arc is so important. I mean, the kick, the slap is just like is so
that
in many ways is when you get used to the movie, it's still the moment that shocks you the most. And I think who is it? Was it Dreyfuss's character that reacts? And that's it's such a powerful moment and such a change in his relationship with the island. It's like after that, okay, I can't feel any lower than this. So I'm going to go home, get drunk, and then him and Hooper then kick off sort of the second. What? Hey, have you seen that deleted scene where in the autopsy of the shark, where the tiger shark, where someone someone walks? Who's that?
Yeah, we posted that, and that's Quint.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Quint. So he's basically gone to check out the shark first to see if there's still any money to be made or have they caught the right one. But I'm actually kind of glad they left that out. I think, again, not just in terms of hiding the shark and not showing it, but I think that the way the movie is edited, it's very, very lean in the way they get through so much story in 2 hours. So I think they were probably right to leave it out. But it's just an interesting way of exploring and expanding the same story, but also showing what really great tight editing looks like when you've got such great material.
Ross, do you have any lines from Jaws that you use in everyday life?
I think, honestly, most of the time it's, oh my God. Okay. You don't have the education enough to admit whether you're wrong. It's probably one of my favorites.
That's very good.
What about you?
Well, I do the whole scene with my son, get out of here. I wake up in the morning, and if I feel stiff, as I walk to the bathroom, I say, the kids are in the yard playing with the cat. They're in the yard not too far from the car. And then I always follow it through with, how's that? And then I do her line as well. I go, like you're from New York. Um, I say that pretty much on a daily basis to
Oh
myself.
my
I need to
God.
get my wife to do her line actually.
Is your wife a Jaws fan as well?
She loves it. Yeah, I mean, when
Ah,
we got together, she she was like, once a month we watch it once. And I was like, yeah, gotcha, once at least. So right, okay. Um, what? There's a couple of others that I. The reason I asked that question is one came into my head. What scene were we talking about? Oh yeah, that's it.
um,
Meetings now. I go like this, ladies and gentlemen.
oh yes. Right. Well, I don't know what your next gig is, but you've got to try and sneak a Jaws line into the auto
Absolutely,
closer. You've got
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
do it. What could you sneak in there? There's got to be something really subtle we can get in there, isn't there?
You want to know how I make my living?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Not bad, is it?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to have a think about this because
Dude, let me
the challenge for you now, Mr. O'Leary, is to try and
let me
sneak a
know.
line from Jaws into one of the next gigs that you've got. Oh my God, this is brilliant.
So I had a show. I pitched the show for the
Yeah.
50th.
Go
ITV
on.
didn't want to do it in the end because they went with a celebrity shark show, which they asked me
Oh,
to do. But I was gutted because it was with some mates of mine that I've been working in telly for years, and they're all massive Jaws fans. And
yeah.
so when I left T4, they got me as my present. They got me an original print of the first movie, which is just like
Oh, wow.
it's a run of the original poster. I don't know. It's not as rare as it's not the
Yeah, but
rarest bit,
it's,
but it's
yeah.
lovely, which I've got up.
Wow.
And yeah, and so we were quite far down the line. So I was gutted because I thought that was my ticket to get there. And then we didn't get the show away, which I was devastated about because I really, really want to go. And I mean, part of me I'm really interested in history and I quite like going. So I've done a lot of sort of World War One and World War Two trips. That's just quite nice to do it when no one else is there. So it's quite nice to do it out of season when, when there isn't like a commemoration or an anniversary. So
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, I just really want to go and swim and eat seafood. Really, that's kind of the basic.
I want to jump off the Jaws bridge. That's what I want to do.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one for me.
I
Also,
love that guy who gets his leg bitten off. You ever interviewed him?
we're trying to get hold of him, Teddy Grossman, because he was in the Goonies as well.
No
He
way.
he played the dead body in the freezer when the kids find the Fratellis.
That's so funny.
Yeah, all over.
Guys,
Honestly,
okay over there? You guys want a hand? Bam.
yeah. Well, here's a leg. So, Dermot, we've talked about Jaws, the movie. We obviously agree it's a masterpiece, and we share our favorite moment. But we also got three other Jaws movies. Now, what are your thoughts on the sequels?
I don't mind a sequel. I think it's quite easy to knock a sequel. I think
Mm,
Jaws 2 is a really funny film. I
mm,
think that I think it's obviously kind of played a bit more for laughs and a bit
mm,
more kind of wisecracking. I don't know the films nearly as well as I know the original, or love them nearly as much as I love the original. Jaws
mm,
2, I would enjoy if it comes on.
mm.
Actually, I'll enjoy them all if they come on. I love Michael Caine, and by the time we get to 4, it's just nonsensical. It's so marvelous, and I love the way he's just gone. How much? Like, I think that a great interview with him. Have you seen it? And he said, it's rubbish. And he said, no, but I've seen the house it bought me in the Bahamas or something. So whatever that.
It was a house. So yeah, the story goes that he did it for, I think it was like a week's filming. He couldn't pick up his Oscar that he'd won for Hannah and Her Sisters because he was filming this. And the only reason he did it was because he saw the original script, which was started in Hawaii, I think it was. It's because the sun is coming up over the beautiful Hawaiian horizon. And he's thinking, well, this is great because Roger Moore and Sean Connery don't live too far away. So I'll just go play golf with them when I'm not filming. That was basically it. And the other one as well was how this actually got made. They kind of did it in reverse order because the head of the studio, a guy called Sid Sheinberg, who produced the other movies, basically said, look, we need another Jaws movie, but we need to find another way to kill the shark. So he was interviewing various directors. And this one director, sort of Joseph Sargent, said, hey, listen, we've got an idea. This is how we're going to kill the shark. And he went, yep, cool, fine, that'll do. Write the rest of your script, shoot it where you want. And he goes, well, I've never been to the Bahamas before. So that's how that all happened.
And it's sort of like TV and film is a bit like this in that, like, it's so hard and it takes so long to get some stuff away, and some stuff is for the back of a fact. Okay? They go, what is it? Yeah, like it, great. And then you sort of walk out of meetings going, hang on, we're doing it. Like, it's like, and some other shows you can work on. I develop a lot of shows and pitch a lot of shows, and I produce a bit as well. And some shows just fall in your lap, and some shows you like. It's so hard to get over the line.
Yeah.
And it's like but you're like, this is a foolproof idea. No one ever knows if anything's going to rate or not. But
Mm.
but you go, well, this should be made, and it's so weird as to what gets made and what doesn't get made. The third I love because of 3D glasses. Basically, it's just a vehicle for 3D glasses. And like, so every big shot is only there so you can go put the glasses. Oh no,
Yeah.
it's out of the image. Um, so they're all with their merits, really, like in a kind of fun way. But obviously
Yeah.
the original.
Yeah. That is, it's Chrissy's head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for a few quick fire controversial questions, Mr. O'Leary?
Christ, yeah, I'll give it a go.
Okay. So, first one. From the first movie, out of Chrissy, Pippet, Alex, the estuary victim, Ben Gardner, and
Oh,
Quint,
where's
if
this going?
if you can only save one, who are you saving and why?
Oh, okay. So hang on. Do we know the dog's dead?
I'm going to come on to that, depending on your answer.
Okay, so who we got? Chrissy?
Chrissy, Alex, Pippet the dog, Ben Gardner, estuary victim, pretty sure he's dead. Quint we saw, and Ben Gardner we saw his head. So he's definitely dead.
I think we've got to go with Alex. Young, life ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the water. He's just going for a swim. Look at your hands, please, just a little bit more, a little bit longer. Yeah, we've got to save him.
Good answer. So, yeah, the other question then that leads off from that is, did Pippet actually live? Because we didn't see him die. We just saw the stick, didn't we? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the shark ate the dog, but I like to think that the Pippin is, is still with us.
Well, I might be able to help you sleep a little bit better tonight, Dermot, because I did a video about Pippet the dog a few years ago because I was just curious about the story behind the dog and all that. And I made a discovery. So just after the estuary scene has happened and Michael Brody is
Yeah,
being pulled to shore, there's a shot of Chief Brody running
yeah,
down the bridge towards the camera, and then he
yeah,
vaults over it to get to
yeah,
Michael.
yeah.
If you look in the background of that shot, there's a black Labrador on the bridge. Yep. It could just be coincidence, or it could be Pippet. You guys decide.
It could be that more than one person in Martha's Vineyard owns a black lab, but I'm going to go with you.
Next question.
Yeah.
Did they need a bigger boat?
Do you know, I got this question. I was on the wheel, and and Jaws was my specialist subject, and it landed on someone else, and is the line, you're going to need a bigger boat, we're going to need a bigger boat, and they got it wrong, and I was just there going, oh. Well, yeah, they did, but I don't think it made much difference because Jaws is so badass. I've genuinely looked up. There were moments where I looked up, I was like, is that the biggest shark that's ever been seen? And it is about the biggest shark that's ever been seen, isn't it?
Close. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think the biggest out there at the moment that's been on record is Deep Blue, which is about
Yes.
20 feet long. But
Oh,
apparently
Deep
there is
Blue.
another shark out there that's 21, 22 feet in terms of sightings, but they haven't officially measured it yet. So, but I was speaking to a shark expert about this, and he said that there is, without question, sharks that are the size of Bruce or the shark in Jaws out there, 25 feet plus. They just don't come up, but they're definitely there. So it's like that's a terrifying, but also
Wonderful.
cool thought as well, right? Okay, final two controversial questions. Is Jaws Steven Spielberg's best movie?
Yes, but not by much. Like, I don't think it's done a bad movie. So, I mean, they're all great, but Jaws is, I think, is finest just because it's my favorite.
What would you put maybe as sort of second behind Jaws in terms of Spielberg?
I mean, it depends what you want out of it. Like, if we're going serious, then Schindler's.
Yep, true.
Then if we go roller coaster, then Indy.
Yeah. I'm worried about you, Dermot. This seems like quite a stressful experience for you. This is supposed to be fun. Are you okay?
Oh, I'm loving it.
Okay, good. Because all I'm seeing is this, and I'm like, oh my God, is he okay?
I'm just racked with what we think.
No, this is good. Okay, so the final question, and this is one that has kept me up and Jaws fans awake at night for getting on 50 years now. Dermot O'Leary, please tell us, given everything that happened in Jaws, how is Mayor Vaughan still the mayor in Jaws 2?
It absolutely drives me up. I mean, wasn't there a thing just before the American election, or Someone put that on. It might have been you that put that. Basically, just went. Just remember that the people of Amity voted him in again. Was he? What was the post? It was so good.
It was something. It was like it was the back of a t-shirt. It was something along the lines of, "Just remember that the mayor in Jaws was still the mayor of Jaws 2. Vote in your local elections." I think that was what it was.
I mean, I can only think it was the Brody ticket with it, like, and by that I mean Ellen, because she sort of added the glitz and the glamour with the real estate and all of that kind of like, she was working with him, wasn't she?
She was working with Les Peterson, but I think she was basically just trying to basically. The thing is, like what Jeffrey was kind of talking about in terms of the previous incarnation of Jaws 2, directed by John Hancock, it was going to be much darker, much grittier, and it was going to be playing off the fact that Amity was in a place of economic decline because of what had happened in the previous movie, and that's hinted at, which is why you see Ellen, trying to just publicize the beach and bring businesses in, but obviously the mayor was taking a back seat because he's, as far as they're concerned, the mayor of Shark City, so he's probably not the right face for it, but he's still the mayor. He's still the
I
mayor.
can only think all the other candidates must have been eaten. That's the only reason as to why.
Who's that Jaws 1.5 that we didn't see?
Yeah. I mean, I'd have voted for Ben Gardner.
What was it? Vote Vaughan, his kids were on that beach too. Vote Gardner, his head was in that boat too. There you go. All right, yeah, I like it. Dermot, I love it. I love it. Dermot O'Leary, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you so much. I have one final question for you.
Yes,
and this is probably the one that I love the most. Why are we still sitting here talking about Jaws 50 years later? Like, what is the legacy of this movie?
I think because it's not just one movie. I think that, you can get so much out of it, and I still get different things out of it every time I watch it. So it's a movie that, and I guess all great movies are like this. Certainly movies that, the great movies that we love. My favorite movie is The Godfather, Heat, just to name it, like just the top of my head. They all evolve, and my relationship evolves with them as well. And I think it's, you can get as much or as little as you want out of this. It's fundamentally this beautiful story, like, this incredible story of this one guy and an incredible supporting cast around him, but this one guy's kind of journey to try and do the right thing, given everything that nature and human nature and politics and is throwing at him. He's a nice guy who has bad days, and he's just, he's such a great hero.
Oh, that's brilliant. Dermot, thank you so much for taking some time out to talk Jaws. I hope you feel better for this, because this is kind of turning into sort of semi-Jaws therapy sessions for a lot of the guests so far. So I hope you feel better.
I loved it.
Dermot, thank you so much for taking some time out to talk to us about your love for Jaws. Clearly, you're a super passionate fan. Until next time, guys, though, lots more interviews to come, but I'll always be drinking to your legs, and I'll bid you all a fond farewell. And
Hey!
That's it for today's deep dive into Jaws, the film that turned beaches into no-swim zones and created the summer blockbuster. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow, rate and review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, just when you thought it was safe to stop listening, there's plenty more episodes to come. Thanks again to Stern Pinball for making this episode possible. Please be sure to check out the work of Minorities in Shark Sciences and also the Tourette's Association of America. That's it for now, guys, but I'll catch you next time. I'll drink to your legs.